evening fellows, welcome back to another video. This is the Phantom or Dragti, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this clean YouTube banner in Photoshop CC. So let's get started. So the first thing you're going to do is download this template, which you can find down in the description below, and it basically just gives you the same document that I'm working with right here. And the first thing we're going to do inside the document is select the paint bucket tool. Make sure color is set to black, and you want to make sure you're selecting the paint bucket tool, not the gradient tool. So just click and drag across and the paint bucket tool should be there. Click anywhere transparent, and now the layer is black. Next we're just going to make a new layer, and then we're going to select the gradient tool. So click and drag across, select the gradient tool, make sure you're set on linear gradient, and you just want to select some nice colors. So I know a website called UI Gradients, which I will leave down below, and it has some really nice gradients that you can choose from. I've just made these gradients quickly, so I like the look of this pink to bluish one. This one gives me like a mint sort of feeling, of course, but you can decide. So once you select your gradient, you just want to click here, click and hold, and you just want to make sure you're holding shift so it stays straight. And the gradient should appear like this. And we're just going to lower the opacity of the layer. So coming over here, we're just going to lower it to roughly 10 or 12. And this looks pretty nice if you ask me. And we're just going to make a new layer on top of this. And we're just going to select make a triangle. So create a point here, a point here, point here, and then connect it up by clicking on the initial point. Then you're going to do is right click and create a vector mask. Then we're going to select our paint bucket tool and just click, and now this area is black, and we're just going to lower the opacity to roughly 90. We're going to duplicate the layer, and then select the initial layer that we duplicated from. Go to the gradient tool, and we're just going to make our gradient, and as you can see it's starting to appear, and we're just going to up the opacity of this layer now. So it was 90, now we're going to up it to 100, and we're going to lower this triangle here that's on the black layer. As you can see, we can start to see the gradient appear a bit more clearly. So I think this is good enough. And we're just going to select and hold both these layers, right click and convert it to a smart object. Now some people would say it's better if you made it into a group because it's easier to edit, but I disagree, because with a smart object you can just double click it and you'll be able to edit the gradient really easy and save it and close, and it will edit it for all of them, because we're going to be using this smart layer across the whole document. So we have this smart layer now. We're going to Control J to duplicate it. Then we're just going to shift it over here. So I think this looks pretty nice. And we're going to duplicate again. And we're just going to drag it over. So it's like that. As you can see, we're starting to get a nice colorway. But I think that's a bit small, so I'm just going to select all three layers and just make it slightly bigger. There we go. And because it's a smart layer, the original layers are retained. Now with all three selected, we're just going to do Control J. Select our move tool, and then we're just going to rotate it 180 degrees. And we're just going to drag it up here. So I'm just trying to maximize the triangle here. So something like this looks nice, as you can see. And we're just going to select all these smart objects and click this folder icon. Now if you are on an older version of Photoshop, you're just going to have to click the folder icon and select your groups, move them in there. But if you are on the newer version, you can just select the group layers and click the group icon, and it will automatically group them. Okay, so now we've done this, we're just going to add the text. So select your text tool, change the color to white or any color you want, but I think white looks the best. Next, you want to select a font. So I think DevGov looks really good for this. And before we start editing anything like that, first we want to make sure that our character is set over here. The space between the characters is 540 because that generally looks nice with this font. Of course, you can change it as you see fit for your design, but I have it set to 540 and it gives some nice spacing to the characters, as you can see. So if we just make this a little bit bigger, I found that if you make designs like this with text and really simple elements too big, it ends up looking a bit cheesy. But if you try and keep everything relatively small, it does give that effect that it is a bit more minimalistic and simple. And yeah, so like the text there, I'm just gonna add my logo quickly. So alright, so I'm just importing my logo now, and it's an Illustrator file, so just anything will do for here. I'm just gonna drag it, make it a bit smaller. So I'm generally, when you're making logos, they're kind of more squarish, but my logo is a bit more rectangular, as you can see. So yeah, my logo is imported now, and in order to change the color, you can just right click, go to blending options, select color overlay, change the color to white, make sure it's normal, make sure the opacity is at 100. Now your logo is white. And yeah, so let's move on to the social media branding. So in order to do this, we're going to create a new layer, select the rectangle tool, change the fill to black. Actually, change the fill to a gradient. It's much easier to work with a gradient, and if you saved your gradient from before, it will be here. So I'm just going to select the gradient I'm using at the moment, and I'm just going to make a nice small box, as you can see, and the gradient is going from north to south, so that's how we want it. If it's not, then you need to mess around with the properties as we're drawing it. So here, as you can see, it says properties, and the rotation of your gradient needs to be at 90. So if you click on the gradient, you can see. But yeah, so let's just delete this rectangle. We're just going to duplicate the rectangle now, and we're going to zoom in, and we're just going to shrink it ever so slightly, so something like this. So there's a bit of a margin now. I'm going to select the properties and select this, change it to a fill and change it to black. Alright, so now we're just going to load the opacity. So I think at 90 again, 90 is generally a nice number because it lets in some of the layer below it, but retains most of its original color. So I think this looks nice enough. And we're just going to add our text on top. So I don't know, like my new Twitter, I guess. So at Dragti_. And now, as you can see, you can't really tell what it's saying because it's getting cut off. In order to fix that, you just want to select the character options and change your VA to 0, and over here as well, 0. The underscore has 0 as well. So yeah, like that. And we can just drag the text into a much more pleasing place. Something like this. Select all three of these things and then just create another smart object. You can group it obviously, but I don't know, I just prefer a smart object. And then we can just resize it, do what we want with it. So I think if we resize it and just leave it somewhere at the bottom, it will look nice. So somewhere here, next to the text. I think that's probably the best place. If you have like an Instagram, you can put it there. I don't know, Facebook, I guess. Who uses Facebook anymore? You can put it there, Snap, whatever. And yeah guys, so that's how you make a simple banner in Photoshop. If you did enjoy the tutorial, make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. But yeah guys, this has been the Phantom or Dragti, and I'm signing out. Peace out.